Hi everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Atiya, and we're going to get started on this live in a few minutes. Taking a different direction with this live, and I'm going to be talking more about my own personal entrepreneurship experience and that journey through being an entrepreneur here in California, what it was like to operate a business full-time and on the side. So I will be getting started on that in a few minutes. So if you don't know me, my name is Atiya. I am a primarily business and entertainment attorney in the Los Angeles area. I also do family law and personal injury law. I've been practicing for almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years licensed in December of this year. And right now, I've decided to go solo to start my own law firm. And with that, I decided that I wanted to help different business owners and entrepreneurs and creatives and artists and things like that, things that I find personally entertaining. And so I kind of wanted to give back to the community that I feel involved with. And I feel that way mostly with like entertainment law and with family law. And so I'm just going to go ahead and kind of dive right in a little bit into my personal entrepreneurship journey. So I was, believe it or not, an entrepreneur during law school. So I went to law school in 2016 is when I began. I began law school pregnant. I was newly married. And so, I decided that we wanted to start a business. We wanted to do something on our own. We wanted to kind of make our own path. And so we decided to open a food truck. And so with the food truck, that was pretty much a full-time business. So one of my first entrepreneurship tips that I learned personally is really allocating tasks and allocating time to perform those tasks. So that was a really big thing that I had to learn and I had to overcome as an entrepreneur. So the first steps always to being an entrepreneur is to first always do your research, to research your business that you're looking into. Research as much as you can. There's blogs, there's YouTubes. So for example, with the food truck and the restaurant business, I started to, like, for example, watch a lot of food truck building episodes, food truck wars, food truck travel shows, food truck documentaries. And so I was really able to learn about the industry in that way. Of course, if you're becoming an entrepreneur in any industry that you've never worked in before, it's definitely going to be a learning curve, because not only do you have to do the administrative work and the marketing work that you've done that is required for that industry, you also have to perform whatever service that is. So if you're cooking food, or if you're performing legal work, or if you are, for example, maybe opening a cleaning service, all of that has to be done, the actual substantive work. And then you must also do the admin work. You have to also promote and market your business. And so that was one learning curve. I would say that being an entrepreneur is definitely a 3-part job. It is one, like I said, whatever you're marketing. 2, all of the admin work. So that means filing the LLC, filing your taxes, making sure all your forms are up to date, making sure that you have an attorney who is able to keep up with you and to work with you to calendar important dates to make sure that you get things filed. So for example, you have to file your taxes quarterly with the California Secretary of State. So all of these things have to be managed. And then you also have, like I said, whatever service that you're providing. And so obviously these things can get really taxing. So for me, I had a newborn and I was managing for the most part and doing some cooking on the food truck when I first made it. And I'm going to add a picture to the YouTube when I upload this. And so, the first steps always is to research, and then you get into your next step, which is the formation part. So it's always really important, like I've said in a previous live, to figure out which corporation formation is the best for you. So that could be an LLC, that could be a sole proprietor, that could be a corporation. It really depends, like, your liability and how much money that you really plan on seeing. So if you have a business, for example, like a restaurant, that is pretty high liability because, like, for example, you're feeding people. And so you could feed hundreds to thousands of people a day. And if one person gets sick, then that's something that you could potentially be liable for. Versus if you sew scarves. And, maybe the worst thing that could happen with that scarf is somebody choke themselves out with it. But the likelihood of that is low, so you're likely not going to be liable for that. So that's also the really good consideration when you're going to form these businesses and when you're going to start these businesses. As I've said before, starting an LLC in California, you have to pay a yearly tax of $800 a year. For some people, that's pretty high, and it can be if you're not making a lot of profits. And typically newer businesses don't make a lot of profits because the entrepreneur itself is managing those three roles of the marketer, the administrator, and then the actual service provider. And so once you get past the filling out forms, and once you start formatting and you kind of start scheduling whatever it is that you have going on, you're going to move to the next step. And so for me, that was, for the food truck business, where am I going to sell food? Who am I going to sell food to? Your price points. All of this type of research should be done beforehand, before starting your business. It's really good, like I said, to take as much information, take as many courses. So, for example, for the food business, you need to be, you had to have your food server license. And so you have to really look into whatever licenses that's required for your business license, whether it's a food service license, or if you're running a professional company, making sure that you have whatever licenses is required for that. And so that's kind of all part of the research, but it's really in different levels of executing whatever it is that you did research. And then, your next step is really trying to get into the groove of owning your business and what that means for you. And so for some people, your business, your day might look the same every single day. Then for other people, the days are kind of sporadic. You're putting out fires from a Monday through Friday. So for example, as an attorney, you can easily have a fire that takes you what you might have planned to take for 2 hours, and that can end up taking you 8 hours. And it's just really important to kind of have the flexibility and the patience to adapt to whatever situation that your business is coming up to. And the next thing I would say is to really be prepared for the learning curve that's required. And there's always going to be a learning curve. There's always going to be growing pains. I don't believe that you need to have $1 million or $100,000 saved up to start your business. It's really about just having that commitment to turn that dollar into something that's making you revenue. And there's just so many free options or just cheaper versions of things. So for example, there's online graphic designers, there are online marketing apps that you can use. You can use Facebook and Instagram for cheaper advertising and marketing campaigns. The one thing I would tell you to not cut down on as far as costs is the legal budget, because with your legal budget, if you're using something like a legal Zoom, for example, everybody's using the same template. Somebody has already created that, and it's not created for your business. It's not created for your scenario, your situation, your revenue, what you're aiming for. And so, if you're kind of skimping on your legal work, there could be grave consequences for doing that later. If you've listened to my lives, you know that I'm really big on litigating, and your contract doesn't mean anything if you can't litigate it and it won't be upheld in court. And so that's something to really think about, and that I really push when you are purchasing a template. And you can purchase a template from any website at this point. There's so many websites where you can purchase discounted or virtual lawyer services, and that's exactly what they are. They're discounted and they're virtual. And if there ever is a time where you need something to be litigated, or you need to actually enforce the agreement that you signed on to, there is not going to be someone to really be on the other side of that agreement to say, this is what this clause means. This is why I chose this clause for your scenario, because all you have is pretty much just this bland, easy does it, it's for everybody type template. And so that's just kind of the next consideration when you're forming the business. So for me, I didn't get an attorney to form my business because I was in law school and I participated in business clinics, a small business clinic, for example. And I was personally taught all of these things that I need to consider when I'm drafting a lot of this legal jargon and when I'm formulating these contracts for people to sign. And you also really want to have somebody who's on your side, and that's what you pay a lawyer for. You pay a lawyer to kind of be on your side for these situations, and you're just not getting that same advocacy and that same competence when you're just downloading legal forms from a website and from a template. And so just moving on to my next step, or just kind of my next tip that I learned from my own entrepreneurship journey, is definitely the next step is to just really be prepared to give it everything. Even if you don't like what you do, you have to find some type of like for what you do. If that means that you like to just work for yourself, if that means you just like to cook food, or if you like to do graphic design, like whatever it is that you like, you really just have to hone in on that part and then really focus on it. Because being an entrepreneur can make you really just want to get a job every single day. Because it just always feels like there's something that you have to pay for and there's something that you have to be responsible for, and it can be just very tiring. But if you can just find something to hold on to during your entrepreneurship journey, whether, like I said, whether it's just the love of cooking or if it's just the commitment to really working on your own, whatever it is you need to really tap into. I got a question that asked, am I a lawyer? Yes, I am an attorney. I've been an attorney since December 2019. I graduated law school in May 2019, passed the bar July 2019. So yes, I am an attorney. I am licensed. I've been practicing for almost, 2.5 years, almost at year 3. So yeah, and I'm just talking a little bit now, if you're just joining us, about my own personal entrepreneurship journey and why I care so much about entrepreneurs and why I kind of have a practice that's dedicated to them, because I, can definitely understand what it is like to, just work for something or work for a company, work for a person, and to just really not feel valued by it. I know there's a big wave of, kind of entrepreneurship, quit your 9 to 5, XYZ. And it's really easy to say that entrepreneurship isn't for everybody. But I kind of have the philosophy that anything is for anyone who wants it to be for them. And so that's kind of really just the mindset that you really have to have when you're coming into this. Because like I said, your top, as an entrepreneur, your 3 jobs are going to be admin, marketing, and services. And unless you can pay another human to do one of those 3 jobs for you. But it's really a full-time job. It's a full-time on the clock thing. You've heard from, I went from 40 hours a week to 100 hours a week. And it's definitely something that can happen. But like I said, the joy or the commitment and the resilience that you find from being an entrepreneur, like you're going to find that in actually finding joy in one of those things. And whether that's in providing your service or making your own money or just having control of your time, like whatever that anchor is to your entrepreneurship journey, like you just have to really hold on to it. And that way you can try to meet your future goal for whatever that is and whatever you plan to do. So definitely, like I said, the biggest thing, or one of the biggest things, is not skimping on your attorney services and your agreements and your documents. So if you're forming a partnership with somebody, another human, you definitely want to get an agreement on that. I feel like, agreements are necessary for everything these days, whether you're getting married, so that's a prenuptial agreement, or if you're doing a partnership agreement, or if you are selling your services to somebody and you really want clarification in what you're supposed to provide and what a breach of that provision looks like. You really want to tap into an attorney and get those services budgeted in your plan as you move forward and as you go through your entrepreneurship journey. And for me, as somebody who has done something other than own her own law firm, sorry about that, with owning my like I said, owning my own food truck. I transitioned out of that once I graduated law school, and even that is a process of something to do to transition out. So yeah, I think I had a long day. I went to court today. And even like I said, it's kind of just managing the services. So even with having to market and to do, some of the administrative work, because my business now is so young, still, I just started my firm a month ago. And, it definitely can be kind of trying sometimes and kind of pressing, but if you have the right team of people and you have the right legal framework and documentation up front, really solid, you can save yourself a whole lot of headache and a whole lot of issues in the later terms. So that is pretty much my Get Money Monday segment for June 20th. Happy Juneteenth if you celebrated yesterday. Still Juneteenth weekend. The courts are still open, but some people are off. So if you were off today, I hope you enjoyed that. And if I don't have any questions, I'm going to conclude this live. You can find it on YouTube. You can search Atiya Myers Law Firm and you will find me. You will find my other 2 previous talks. Both of those are about different topics, different conversations around entrepreneurship and contract drafting and corporation taxation and formulation. So you can get all of that information on my YouTube, and I will link it in my few of my next posts. And thank you for coming to Atiya Myers Law Firm, Get Money Mondays. I'll see you guys again in 2 weeks when I come back with my next set of entrepreneurship topics. Thank you.